Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Arun Singh Thakur from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today, we are going to discuss about the module Functions, Need and Types of Entrepreneurs. Distinctions between entrepreneurship and a manager from the paper Tourism and Hospitality Entrepreneurship and Legal Environment. Present unit aims at elaborating the functions and needs of the concept of entrepreneurship and also makes point of difference between entrepreneur and a manager. After going through this module, you will be able to describe the functions of entrepreneur performed at personal level as well as at organizational level, enumerate the different types of entrepreneurs, describe the importance of the concept of entrepreneurship. You will be able to differentiate between manager and an entrepreneur. Countries' economic development in the present scenario depends upon the entrepreneurial development and thus making entrepreneurship very important. Industrial development, employment generation and overall development of the countries depend upon entrepreneurial development. We can make a statement here that entrepreneurs make the foundation of industrial development and thus foster regional development. The diagram describes the role of the entrepreneurship. They create job, they create wealth. Entrepreneurship results in improving economy. They create new products and services for the customers. Functions performed by entrepreneurs at enterprise level. Following are the categorization of functions performed by entrepreneurs in due course of their initiatives to execute their out-of-the-box idea. They are entrepreneur perform following function at enterprise level. The first one is entrepreneurial function, then managerial function, then promotional functions and commercial functions. Performing organizational functions, entrepreneur arrange the capital required for the businesses. They arrange for the land resources and human resources for fulfilling his dreams. We'll discuss the various entrepreneurial functions. Process started with thinking of a business idea which does not exist in the market, but the scope for the same is ample, is the first and foremost function of the entrepreneurs. The key of entrepreneurial task includes taking risk, organizing, innovating, and most importantly, optimum utilization of the resources. Now we'll discuss the managerial functions. Modern concept of business management focus upon achieving the goals while utilizing minimum resources of the organization. According to the father of management principles, Henry Fayol, management is to forecast, to plan, to organize, to command, and to coordinate and to control. Management is a process which includes functions such as planning, organizing, staffing, budgeting, and controlling of performance in order to achieve the desired objectives with optimum utilization of resources of the organizations. The importance of the functions of management is in the fact that to achieve the maximum output with minimum resources which even can't be achieved with ample resources if management principles are not followed effectively. In small entrepreneurial ventures, it is only the entrepreneur who envisages his vision and experience, thereby applying the management principles to make his business idea a grand success. To perform managerial functions, an entrepreneur must be acquainted with the knowledge of 5 main principles of management, which are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling.
This is the process which describes the functions performed by entrepreneurship, and as you can see in the diagram, this is a continuous process. First, they plan, then they organize, they staff, direct their staffs, and then the last is the controlling process, and again the cycle starts from the planning. So in business, it is a continuous process of performing the functions by the entrepreneurs.
What is planning? Effective planning is the blueprint to success. Plans provide a roadmap to proceed in a direction of achieving targets in stipulated time frame while minimizing the wastage of time, money, human efforts. The task of planning is an intellectual process and needs inputs from within the organization and outside the organization. The success of the plan depends upon the skills of the individual who made a plan and authenticity of the sources on the basis of which the planning has been done. During the planning process, an entrepreneur decides what to be done, how should be done, when to be done, where to be done, and by whom it should be done, so on and so forth. There should be always a scope for flexibility in the best plans.
Now we'll discuss what is organizing. The organizing function of an entrepreneur refers to bringing together the 5 M's. Those are men, material, machine, money, and methods to execute the plans. It is the job of the entrepreneur to organize all 5 M's in such a manner so that they work in close coordination of each other and seems a single unit working on plan for target-oriented results. The diagram represents the 5 M's which are performed by entrepreneurs. The next we discuss about what is staffing. The staffing function of management controls all recruitment and personal needs of the organization. The main purpose of staffing is to hire the right people for the right jobs to achieve the objectives of the organization. Thus, to execute the function of staffing, an entrepreneur performs following process. In the process, they first of all make list of personnel already recruited in the organization. Then they find out the new positions in the organization along with their qualifications which are required. Then they look for source of recruitment. After that, they define the entire selection process and the technicalities involved in that process. Further, deciding remuneration against all the posts is the important task, and then requirement of the training for the people to be recruited is the next step, and finally they perform the function of setting up a criteria for their appraisal performance. Through this diagram, we'll try to understand the process in more interactive way. So from the top left corner, we can see there are the candidates, and then there is the recruitment team. After that, there is a screening team of the human resource department. Then finally, there is one-to-one screening, which is called as technical screening. Then account manager is there, and finally the client hiring manager, which will offer a candidate a joining letter, and thus covers the whole process of recruitment, or we can call it as staffing.
Now, what is directing? It is that part of managerial function which actuates the organizational methods to work efficiently for achievement of organizational purposes. It is considered life spark of enterprise, which sets in motion the action of the people because of planning, organizing, staffing, directing is thus very important, and it's not just preparation, but it is actually doing. Directing is the function which can be termed as actions on ground. As previous three functions, they are related to pre-preparations of the business. Here, under directing, function of entrepreneur activates his workforce to perform actions working on the plan to achieve the present objectives. Here, interpersonal and managerial skills of individual are considered as important aspect for fulfillment of the objectives.
Now, dear students, we'll discuss about what is controlling. Henry Fayol defines four-step process as the point number 1 says establish performance standards based on organizational objectives. Then to measure and report on actual performance. Then to compare results with performance and standards. And finally, take corrective or preventive measures as needed or required as per the situation. Being the last function in the process of management, controlling is to check for the process and activities in accordance with the planning or not. In controlling, a one-to-one comparison with plan layout is there with the outcomes, and if there is need to make corrective measures, entrepreneur then take it suitably to reach the target.
Further, here are few more points of difference between entrepreneur and manager. The first one is entrepreneur creates the enterprise, whereas manager takes on the administrative control of the business. Then a startup business is initiating point for an entrepreneur, and further he may take this business to $1 million company, whereas a manager may take the operations of that $1 million companies which is already established. Entrepreneur's main source of motivation and learning is his own achievement and the failures, where for the managers the main motivation factor is the authority and control vested in the position. Entrepreneur most of the times take informal approach to solve the problems and thus devising own improvised techniques, whereas manager's approach of the task is formal. An entrepreneur born to be the owner of the business venture, whereas a manager is an employee who works for the owner of the business. A manager works for salary, whereas entrepreneur works for profit. The primary strength of an entrepreneur are creativity and innovation, where the manager's primary strength is their management skills.
Now we'll discuss the commercial functions performed by entrepreneurs. The first one is manufacturing or production. Once the planning part of the business enterprise is done, up to the stage of arrangement of the finances for the business idea, production includes the selection of the site for producing goods or delivering services. Site selection is such a decision which can make or break the progress of a business process, and acute care must be taken while finalizing site for the business. Once the site is finalized, the next task is to put in place all related production or delivery units to deliver effective and desired results. The second function under the commercial function they perform is the marketing of business. Marketing is all about making potential customers aware about the products and services. We can say that educate the future and existing customers about the technicalities and usefulness of the products and services of the organization offering in the market. Modern marketing concept emphasizes that to generate profits through a customer satisfaction, so for the entrepreneurs it became very important to consider the satisfaction level of the customers, as they might not have excess budget for aggressive marketing campaigns like the big corporate houses or the multinational companies do. Now, we'll try to elaborate the functions performed by entrepreneur at an individual level. A successful entrepreneur is one who knows the difference and importance of his role at individual level and as well as at the level of enterprise. The following points highlight the top 5 functions of an entrepreneur. These are decision making, management control, the third one is division of income, fourth is risk taking and uncertainty bearing, and the last one is innovation. We'll describe all these points one by one. The first is decision making. The primary task of an entrepreneur is to decide the policy of production. An entrepreneur is to determine what to produce, how much to produce, how to produce, where to produce, how to sell, so on and so forth. Moreover, he is to decide the scale of production and the proportion in which he combines the different factors he is employing. In brief, he is to make vital business decisions relating to the purchase of productive factors and to the sale of the finished goods or services. The second is management control. Earlier writers used to consider the management control one of the chief functions of the entrepreneur. Management and control of the business are conducted by the entrepreneur himself. So, the latter must possess a high degree of management with ability to select the right type of person to work with him. But the importance of this function has declined as business nowadays is managed more and more by the paid managers. The third point is the division of income. The next major function of the entrepreneur is to make necessary arrangement for the division of the total income among the different factors of productions employed by him. Even if there is a loss in the business, he is to pay rent, interest on the loans, wages for the workers and employees, and other contractual incomes out of the realized sale proceeds. The fourth point is risk taking and uncertainty bearing. Risk taking is perhaps the most important function of an entrepreneur and his trait also. Modern production is very risky, as an entrepreneur is required to produce goods or services in anticipation of their future demand. Broadly, there are two kinds of risk which he has to face. Firstly, there are some risks such as risk of fire, loss of goods in transit, theft, etc., which can be insured against. These are known as measurable and insurable risk. Secondly, some risk, however, cannot be insured against because their probability cannot be calculated accurately. These constitute what is called uncertainty. For example, competitive risk, the technical risks, etc. The entrepreneur undertakes both these risks in production. The fifth and the last point discusses the function of the innovation. Another distinguishing function of an entrepreneur, as emphasized by Schumpeter, is to make frequent invention of new products, new techniques, and discovering new markets to improve his competitive position and to increase earnings. To proceed further, we'll describe the need and importance of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not only the business process, but it is also very important for the development of the economic structure of any country. The countries of the world which are in the process of development have limited resources and capital as well. They need to invest their financial resources in for importing technology and raw material in order to keep the wheel of development running. For this, trade with foreign countries, they require the reserves of foreign currency as well. An entrepreneur, through their innovative business ideas, maintains balance between inflows and outflows of the currency. Entrepreneurs' businesses mainly depend upon the low-cost pattern and also relies majorly upon using the local produce for manufacturing their goods and services, which results in reducing burden on economy of the country from imports. Their way of doing business is improvised and cost effective, which consumes minimum financial resources. The following table, which we are going to discuss, highlights the some of the important factors supporting concept of entrepreneurship important for the countries. The contribution of the entrepreneurs in the economy of the country summarizes as the first, they contribute increasing the GDP of the country by way of their businesses. They result in increasing productivity. Entrepreneurs generate employment and countries relies on entrepreneurship ventures for their employment needs. Entrepreneurs support economic structure of the countries. They help in sustainable use of resources available in the country, innovation and development in the use of technology, and they result in enhanced international competitiveness. Now we'll discuss the benefits of entrepreneurship from viewpoint of organization. The first one is entrepreneurship results in refinement of the managerial skills. Entrepreneurship provides a suitable platform where individuals working in various positions within the organizations got an opportunity to learn managerial skills. An entrepreneur foresees a problem, generates alternative solutions, and by comparing those alternatives from viewpoint of profit and loss, he then chooses the best way to counter. By way of this process, he himself as well as others around him gets hand-on experience of decision making. Entrepreneur is a very proactive for changing technological business environment and very wisely replaces the technology in order to be a step ahead from their competitors in the market. The second benefit of entrepreneurship is the formation of organizations. The end product of entrepreneurship is the formation of organizations. There are millions of business ventures in the world turned to a national and multinational companies were the byproduct of the entrepreneurship initiatives only. Third benefit is the standard of living. Whatsoever product or the service we are using in this world are the result of efforts put in by entrepreneurs in due course of time. All luxury amenities such as vacation destinations, resorts, luxury cars, smartphones, internet, social media, etc. represents the increased standard of living and byproduct of innovative thoughts of entrepreneurs. The other benefit is economic development of country. Entrepreneurs supports the economic development of the country by generating employment and many times through exports of goods or the services, and thus on the same time reducing the burden of the government to provide employment. Now we'll describe the various types of entrepreneurs. Individual difference is significantly important personality cult which an individual is having by virtue of his or her birth and upbringing in the societal atmosphere. Understanding one's own personality type will act as strength for an entrepreneur to be successful. Here are few types of entrepreneurs on the basis of their personality characteristics we'll discuss. They can be analyst, they can be improver, advisor, they can be superstar, artist or visionary as per their personality type. The improver. Who is improver? Who tries to protect the world and promotes sustainable business practices. Who is advisor? Who is readily available to advise people, sometimes at the cost of his own personal loss also. And then the superstar, who wants to be brand himself like a superstar. Who is artist? The person who is artistic from the core of the heart and reflects the same artistic attitude in his business also. For example, the advertisement agencies and the persons who conceives the idea of the innovative advertisements. Visionary, who envisages future vision and thoughts into his business. He is having the capability to think of the business idea that will change the world in the future. For example, we have entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, who is the founder of a Microsoft company, then Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of the Facebook. These all people, as an entrepreneur, they can be called as visionary entrepreneur. Analyst, who run a business on the strength of technical knowledge. Such entrepreneur can be called as technocrat and provides unique solutions in the concerned field. They can be software or application designers and maybe web security providers. To be successful in business, each type of personality is suitable, but one must know the strengths and weaknesses, and counting on the strengths and improving the weakness area is the key to success for the entrepreneurs. It is also important to discuss the distinction between entrepreneur and a manager. Both the words managers and entrepreneurs are one and the same thing for many people in the world, but they are significantly different from each other. Many times they share same characteristics in the individuals, but few basic differences still exist when it comes to personality traits. Managers play a completely diverse character as compared to an entrepreneur. Besides the fact, entrepreneur is also managing his business. For that matter, out of necessity to borrow certain traits of manager by an entrepreneur is a bit natural thing. Further, we'll discuss the comparative analysis reflecting the difference between entrepreneur and a manager. Focus. An entrepreneur is majorly concerned with the necessary components which are required to start a business and making it successful, while a manager is the employee of the company whose responsibility forces him to focus him to work in a given frame and run the business with the existing resources and on the set pattern or the practices. The second one is the growth. Here the common thing is that both entrepreneurs and managers share is that they both are after the growth of the business. Entrepreneurs gave birth to business idea and initiate the process to make that dream true. That means they are the one who conceives the idea and who chases it till they achieve success. On the other hand, managers are one who is concerned with the growth of the business, whose ideas were conceived by someone else through the actions of the employees at various levels of the organization. The third is innovation. Innovation is road to entrepreneurial success and mandatory personality trait. They are the creators of the new business concepts and trends. The new product and service development in delivery is only possible through entrepreneurial initiatives, whereas a manager works to transform someone else's idea or the vision into reality. Entrepreneurs often introduce new processes in the business operations, whereas managers are most of the times bound to follow standard operating procedures. The other point of difference is the risk. Risk taking is first and foremost criteria of the concept of entrepreneurship, whereas managers are not supposed to take risk in operation of business. Rather, efficient managers are those who are able to devise a plan having least possible risk. This argument does not support that entrepreneurs do not care about the money and reputation, but they dare to take risk and work focused to convert challenges into opportunities. So we can say that managers play a completely diverse character as compared to an entrepreneur. Besides the fact, entrepreneur is also managing his business.
So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. To summarize the content of the present module, we can say that the entrepreneurship is an important concept from the viewpoint of economic development of the countries as well as increasing the standard of living in the world. They are the one whose out of the box thinking make new products and services available in the market. Governments of the countries must welcome and support entrepreneurs in all respect, which may lead to solution of the problem in the world. By these innovations, these people are called as entrepreneurs. Thank you.